Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we'll have myself, Mighty Pete, and we're joined by the Scott McGimpsey. McGimpsey, good afternoon, good morning, I should say even.
Thank you so much. Good morning. How are we?
Wonderful, wonderful. And how's yourself? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor to be here, first and foremost. Yeah, thank you so much, and I enjoy it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the chat comes off, and yeah.
Perfect. Well, tell us, Scott, who are you, what do you do, and where are you from?
My name is Scott. I am from Belfast, originally from Newtownards. I am a health and lifestyle coach. Yeah, that is me. I've got a dog. I've got 2 cats. Yeah, pay way too much rent, and yeah, loving life.
So tell us, a health and lifestyle coach. What does that involve then?
So basically, I came to it from, I was in foster care from 4 right up until 18, and fitness is what I was real good at. It was the only real positive in my life for a long time. And so what I decided to do was I really wanted to help people. So I kind of bounced about from job to job and worked in the care industry, the security industry, and I didn't really feel fulfilled. So I decided to become a personal trainer. And when I started off, it was all about like weight loss and muscle gain and stuff like that, and just like the generic kind of PT stuff. And then I decided that I wanted to give back to the people that, number one, had helped me and people who are struggling right now. So I started to get into a lot of personal development. I started doing a lot of courses. I started to really dive deep into what my purpose was. And then from that, the Bando break program was born. So that was launched last September. And it has been absolutely amazing. So what we do is we look at the emotional needs, the mental needs, and also the physical needs of the people that come onto the program. And we help them elevate and raise their standards in every single area of their life. And it's been massive. We've helped hundreds of people, and the impact that we have had has been astronomical. So that is a little bit about what I do.
So on that, you were saying, and you put your title in there, so it's the Bend Don't Break program, right? So what did that come about? What was that all about?
So the Bend Don't Break program came about, basically, my training style is a little bit different than normal personal trainers. So I would focus a lot on range of motion. So increased range of motion through muscles and joints and ligaments and tendons and stuff like that. So it was always down to including that flexibility aspect into my training and into my members training. So I would have got people with a lot of back pain, a lot of hip pain, knee pain, and things like that. And adding that in has helped them massively to, number one, get rid of it or avoid surgeries or whatever it may be, which has been amazing. So that's where the kind of band aspect came from physically. And by doing that, as I said, they avoid the surgeries, they get out of pain, and they live a more fulfilling life. So that's where Bend Don't Break came from in the physical aspect. Mentally, there's constant pressures in life. There is constantly things that stress us out, that push us to their limits, that make us feel that we want to give up. And I was a testament to that. There was 4 different times where I was literally 5 minutes away from just canceling and tapping out. And it was the people around me that supported me and give me that hope and saw my potential. And that's the kind of mental part of it as well. So I wanted to do something that was done for me, that I had learned from, to help other people. So Bend Don't Break was born. So it's basically our kind of motto is learning how to bend under the pressures of life and never break.
Wow. And that's, as you say, that's personal to you, right? That's been your own motto. That's been your own sort of set of values and beliefs that you've evolved, right?
Yeah. I mean, it has been a crazy journey. And there came a time where I did a lot of soul searching, and I was like, there has to be a reason why all the stuff that has happened in my life has happened. There has to be a reason. And I can't have done all this for just, that's because that's the hand that I've been dealt. And it has been extraordinary, and it's been challenging, and it's been, I've spent a lot of my life in fear and really angry. But now I've came to a place where I know what my purpose is. I know who I want to help. I know exactly the direction that I want to take Bando Break. And I'm changing lives while I'm doing it, and yeah, it's amazing.
Well, it's great. I mean, that you've come to that point, and tell me, I mean, let's go in. I mean, what does fire in the belly mean to you, Scott? What's it all about?
I want to give people hope. I want to give people inspiration. And some people would see, like, I constantly get, oh, you're just a personal trainer. Like, why do you do all of this? And the reason being is I could have said, oh, they're just a social worker. Why are they doing that? Why are they going above and beyond? Why do people see something in me that I don't see in myself? So my mission and my goal, and the reason why I'm on this podcast, is to give somebody hope. Someone might be listening to this and going, do you know what? I don't know what to do right now. I don't know what direction I want to go in. I feel uncomfortable in my body. I hate how I'm living. I can't look at myself in the mirror, whatever it may be. And I'm here to tell you that we have a full community there that is ready to support, guide, and educate you to become your very best.
And that's for you. That's your passion, right? Is that your purpose in life, do you think? I mean, are you at that stage of knowing what your purpose is?
Yeah, I know exactly what it is. I mean, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I constantly do a lot of reflection. I'm like, what was I doing when I was 8? And the contrast is night and day. And I want to show her that absolutely anything is possible in life. Me, I didn't go to university or anything like that, but I've set up a very, very successful business. And as I've said, we're helping change people's lives every single day. And I mean, my purpose is just to, when I'm on my deathbed and I look back, that I don't have any regrets, that I know that I tried my best to help as many people as I could. And that anybody that knew me knew that I was a leader, knew that I was a positive outlooking kind of person who always, number one, demanded more of themselves, but cared regardless of who you were, where you came from, what your background was. I want people to remember me in that, not for how much money I have, not for how many clients I have or the car that I drive, but for the person that I am.
Wow. And for you going, I suppose in that journey, would you say, are you driven now by positivity, or are you driven by there's two sides, right? Because some people say, and for some people their voids are their values, right? So if they've had a hard upbringing, as you've alluded to, they're saying this, listen, I'm doing this so this never happens again. Whereas other people might say, well, listen, my values just are, right? My past is my past. It's the fact, it's the story, and it's gone, right? So I mean, where would you be at? I mean, is it your fuel, or is it just
I mean, for many years I was fueled by almost desperation, and that desperation and that fear kind of allowed me to hustle, in inverted commas. So I always put in the hardest work. I was always like relentless in what I did, and that got me to a certain point. And then I hit like a glass ceiling. So at that point I was like, I'm tired, I've no energy, I'm stressed out, I've got more business than I know what to do with. And at that point I was like, I need to change and operate from a place of pleasure and possibility. And that's exactly where I'm operating from now. So I don't take anybody on that I can't help. I don't take on more people than I feel that I can handle. And I make a comfortable living helping those exclusive amount of people, not exclusive, but that certain amount of people. I don't overstretch myself. And by me doing that, it allows me to see into the future, and it allows me to keep that focus and that drive and that ambition, and not feel burnt out, hating my life, really tired, whatever it may be. So yes, to answer your question, I did operate from a place of fear for a long, long time. And then there came a point where I was like, do you know what? I love what I do. Why am I so stressed about it? So then I changed my thinking, and I did actually took a couple of weeks off, and I was like, look, I'm just going to sit with my thoughts, understand what I want and where I want to go, and take it from there. And it's been monumental in like the change in my mindset and things like that.
What was little Scott like? Who'd we have met if we'd have met little Scott?
God. Um, Most people said I had ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD. I was a, you know, it's no one's ever asked me that before. So in different situations, I acted differently. So, yeah, it depended what, and that's what I learned over the years, to become a bit of a chameleon, to protect myself. But young Scott, he was fun, outgoing, hyper. People would have described me as super hyper. He had no fear, and yeah, he would have stopped and he would have talked to anybody, and probably a bit rude sometimes. Yeah, I was just up until a certain point, I was just a happy kid, who didn't really understand the magnitude of what was going on in his life. But yeah, that's what I remember of me. But if you ask my brother, he'll probably tell you a very different story.
It's always the way, right? Brothers will tell you what you need to hear. But I mean, for you, I mean, what was what did little Scott want to do when he grew up? What was his plan?
I wanted to be a Marine, or a Power Ranger or whatever. But yeah, I seen myself as the kind of action man. I wanted to go out and live dangerously and do all the stuff that, the parkour stuff and the gymnastics and all that kind of stuff. So I was a very, very hyper, probably understimulated kid, to be honest.
Because you were saying, I mean, the ADHD thing, has that been diagnosed, or is this just a gut feel, or just a?
No, like it's been people have just said it in the past, because I would have previously a really short attention span.
Mhm.
So I feel like if I'm not stimulated and if I'm not like engaged in what I'm doing, then I just switch off. And I'm like, yeah, I'm bored now. But I don't think I have ADHD.
Mm.
I don't think, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting because I've been diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia myself, so it's always interesting. And I was only diagnosed a couple of years ago, and I'm 42 now. So I don't know. It's interesting. People say it's just a label, right? As well. I mean, it's you can take from it what you want to, but also I think it's clear there's many factors, right? There's everything from, as you said, it's not being stimulated enough. It's maybe lack of sleep. Maybe it's a disruptive background, right? So it's it's a bit of everything, right? Because as you said, you used the word chameleon, which I think is interesting. That did you find that you had to be that chameleon to survive? Was that part of the?
I was more of a chameleon for two reasons. So people didn't ask me questions, and also to protect myself. So it comes down to are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. That typical, we're going through a period now where a lot of men are coming out and talking about their feelings and stuff like that, which is absolutely amazing. But I think there should be something for children there as well. Like the people, when a child says they're fine and they don't really understand what's going on, but they know something's up, I think there should be more done for that. And the people in the past that had helped me, they were fantastic, but I just didn't really feel that at points in my younger years, I didn't feel that I was listened to. The other side of that was, I would have got very angry, and I would have like scared a lot of people off. And the reason for me doing that was, if I was the scary guy and I was the kind of hard lad, then people were less inclined to come into my world, and I didn't have to tell people about what was going on and things like that. I didn't have to explain myself. That's the best way to put it. So yes, in different situations, I had to adapt how I spoke to people and how I acted. And over the years, that kind of became just a habit. But I mean, it's from those learned behaviors, it's from those experiences of not knowing what you're involved in, and doing your best to make sense of the situation. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just how I've survived almost. And it is what it is.
I mean, in hindsight, looking back, I mean, what did Scott need? I mean, what have you learned from that process, I suppose, and what can you bring to others?
I guess, like, from and now I'm just speaking about my younger age, like so basically my parents, they passed. One passed in 2003, one passed in 2009, and you didn't really understand. You know, you had from the foster carers and the social services, you know, you had them, you knew that they weren't going anywhere because they were like not legally, well, yeah, probably legally obligated to look after me. So you knew that you could push the boundaries. But what I needed at that time was, have you ever heard of VOIPIC?
No, I don't think so.
No. So VOIPIC is Voices of Young People in Care. And I had a mentor in VOIPIC who wasn't a social worker. She wasn't a support worker. She didn't have any sort of title. She was just like a mentor, they called her. And she was probably the best thing that happened to me. This girl was like a volunteer, I think. And we would have went to the cinema, we would have went for a walk. And that for me was really, really impactful, because it just took me out of that space. I felt like I had, obviously they had a responsibility for me, but I felt like I had a friend. I didn't really know how to speak to people my own age, because no one my own age was going through the stuff that I was. So I couldn't connect with them on a any sort of level. But that person just coming and just showing an interest, and I knew that they weren't being paid for what they did as well. I think that helped. That really, really helped me just detach from the environment that I was in, and just have a little bit of a break. And yeah, it was fun.
It's interesting. I just find, the fact you were saying, she had no title, she wasn't paid and all the rest. So that what I'm hearing is that almost removed all the other incentives for her to be there.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not paid to be here and you're not being paid to be here, it's always go, why are you here? It's like, oh, you want to be here. Okay, that's a game changer, right there, right?
100%. And I think that's a big part of what we do today. I don't work with anybody that I don't want to. So there's I wouldn't say a stringent, but there is a process to get onto my program. And I do that for two reasons: to save the person who is applying time, because my program might not be for them, and they might just want a personal trainer to get them in shape, and that's totally fine. And also to protect the people that I have. Lots of those people have their own stories. They have things that are going on in their life, and they share very sensitive things inside of our group. And for me to bring somebody in who doesn't align with those values, and who doesn't really take what we're doing seriously, or doesn't, it might just not be for them, or they won't really benefit from it, then, I have a duty of care to them. And anyone that I help now, it's because I actually genuinely want to. So I think that, yeah, you just sparked the thing in me. That was probably from that VOIPIC worker, that, yeah, it's that desire to be in your life, to help you. That's what's really important to me.
That's a game changer, right? Isn't it? And someone to feel that they have, as you said, somebody on their side. They don't have to be. They're not a system. They're not trying to force you or override you or do whatever. They're actually working with you, right? That's big in the sort of the coaching, mentoring world. It's, I'm not just coming here to be told. I'm coming here to understand and to be listened to, right?
Yeah, I mean, lots of the things that we do is, so I have three main principles in terms of like how I help people develop, and it's I coach, guide, and support them. I don't tell them what food to eat. I don't tell them when to eat. I don't tell them what exercises to do. They learn based off their experience. So we have a flexible diet approach where they get a recipe pack and a food list and a meal planner and stuff like that. And they use that as a guide. I don't say you have to eat X food at X time, because those people won't learn anything from that. And once they leave the program, then they'll be right back to square one, and they'll be like, oh, I don't know what to do now, because they've been held by the hand. So it is a little bit more difficult for people starting out, but they're so much more thankful whenever they actually go, oh, I have taught myself something today. I've taught myself what a portion size looks like. I've taught myself what mobility exercise works for me, or whatever it may be, like whatever area of their life that they're trying to improve. So I think that that's massive. And I don't tend to force anything on anybody. I tend to let them work with me, and they tell me what they need rather than me doing it. So it's a lot of open-ended questions. It's a lot of, well, what do you think about that? It's getting them to kind of almost coach themselves in a way. We call it the power questions. So we literally have a list of questions that we would maybe ask someone. So if they go, boom, I would fire a power question at them. And it's like, it's that internalization that so many people are so busy with the external stresses of life, or their kids or their family, or whatever it may be, that they don't internalize things, and they're so reactive. So we help them find peace within themselves to be able to be in the best possible position to deal with anything that happens in life.
That's quite something, isn't it? I mean, the fact of sometimes you got to go back, or you got to do the foundation work to be able to move forward, right? Because so many people just want that quick win. They just want to lose that pound, do whatever, right? But the problem is fundamentally they've not transformed, they've not changed internally, right?
I'd say it comes back to the classic kind of photo shoot. Client goes in 6 weeks shred, does a photo shoot and a really, really strict diet, coming into work, and they've got bags under their eyes, and then they do that photo shoot. The first thing they go buy is a packet of donuts. It's like, you haven't learned anything. You've been in the shape of your life, but you felt like shit. So what is the win here? What have you gained from that? A couple of nice photos. Whereas I would like to do, I have taken clients through photo shoots before, but we look at the after, right? So you have the before and then the after, which is obviously the photo shoot. And then we look at the after. So how can we then bring you back up to a level where, in a kind of controlled manner, where you feel that you're getting your energy back, you're managing your sleep, you're managing your stress, you're doing all the things and ticking all the boxes, so that you can say, yes, I did a photo shoot, but I'm still on track. Yeah. So
isn't it funny? Because I mean, like, the human ego wants the photo shoot, right? They want they want the picture, and they want the quick win and all the rest. But then in this game of you versus you realize it's got to be, that's motivational, inspirational, that's great, but it's not transformational. So it's getting clients on board, right? Because how do you get that? How do you what's in the power question that decides that somebody is, they're not after just the quick win, they're after the long-term game changer?
I think we're conditioned in the fitness industry to look good. And one of the things we do is I just keep asking why. It's like, okay, I want to lose weight. I'm like, okay, why? It's like, well, I'm going on holiday, and I've got 6 weeks to get in the best shape of my life. And I was like, okay, well, why do you want to get in shape for going on holiday? Well, I just want to feel confident in taking my top off on a beach and things like that. I was like, okay, well, why is that so important to you? Well, whenever I was younger, I was kind of like the bigger kid, and people made fun of me because I had a pot belly and I didn't really do well at PE, and it's always been something that I've struggled with. And I'm like, okay, well, how does that make you feel now? It's like, well, I kind of feel a little bit ashamed of where I'm at. And you just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then they start to realize that it's so much bigger than just losing 10, 12, 14, whatever it may be, pounds. It's actually once you get them to realize that they've got something deeper inside them that they need to deal with, then losing the weight is easy. And then those days that they feel shit and those days that they don't want to do it, I'm like, okay, remember the conversation we had where you said that you felt ashamed and you hate the way you look, and you don't want your kids, you didn't want your kids to look at you that way. You want to be able to run after your grandkids, whatever it may be. That's why you're doing what you're doing. And then they're like, the penny drops, and they stay on track. So it's almost like finding that North Star and everybody has it. Everybody has it. It might be a little bit hard to dig for some people, but once you get to that root cause and that root reason, you can transform anybody's life. Don't care if you're a business owner or a single mom or whatever it may be. Everybody has that driving force within them that they subconsciously do what the things that they do every day. Some of them might be unhealthy. So it's about finding that switch.
What, I mean, for you, are you or your clients, are you more pain driven or pleasure driven?
A lot of people that come on to the program are pain driven because that's all they've known. they're in a place where they hate themselves. And I know that that's strong, but that's just the basis on the kind of dialect that they're using. But we get them to a point where we get them to see the possibilities, and we include that community aspect as well, which helps them see the possibilities. So then they get to a point where they've hit one goal, right? So they come on and be like, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, we've done that. And then we kind of look into the future and we go, okay, what's the next 6 months look like for you? You know, and then because they know that they've achieved the thing that's been hurting them so much, and we've got over that, and not got over it, but we've dealt with that, then they start to generate that belief, and they start to have that aura about them where the confidence levels go up, the self-esteem levels go up. You know, they're starting to bring their friends to the gym. They're starting to go out for walks and nights out with their friends and whatever it may be. And they're just a happier, more fulfilled person.
It's having, you know, and is that all down to a why? Is that down to having that clarity, that focus on the future vision or the future potential or future capacity of what we are?
Bits and pieces. I mean, some people like to future cast. So some people like to look at their perfect self in, you know, 3, 6, 9, 12 months and go, okay, I'm going to work to that. You know, so it's like running a marathon, right? So you set the date of the marathon, which might be in a year's time or whatever, and then you work back. Yeah. So you set yourself milestones on, okay, I need to run X amount of miles in this time. I need to do this strength training, whatever it may be. And then you set those small goals so that people always know that the end is not too far away. It might be a big thing, but we have a plan of how to get there. Other people, they just love having people there that care. So everybody in the group, anybody that comes in, I'm like, okay, I would love you to put a welcome message into the group. Describe who you are, and yeah, you're excited to join the program. Something. I don't like to put words in people's mouths, but once they do that, then they get instantly the feedback. Oh, thank you so much. You're glad to have you part of the program. Welcome, blah, blah, blah. And you'll get literally like 20 or 30 people coming back. So then their problems that they were dealing with are suddenly, they're suddenly sort of part of something bigger. So people want to do well because they're being supported in a way. So yes, some people like to look into the future, but some people also just thrive in that atmosphere, and they just need that little bit of hope.
What's your niche, Scott? What can you do that really sets you apart or puts you in a unique position?
I help people see things about themselves that nobody else can. I help people see things about themselves that they can't see for themselves. So I guess that comes from a lot of, I couldn't see it about myself and everybody else could. So I had to learn how to see that about myself. And that kind of taught me how to be a real good judge of character, and see the potential and the possibility in people. I can kind of see through if you're a business person, I can kind of see through that, you know, most businessmen and women will have that kind of stern kind of exterior where, you know, they're used to being in those business meetings where they have to be on point. I can kind of see through that and get to the person. And once I can get to the person, I coach the person, and the systems and the strategies and the tools and stuff that we use, they're all dynamic. They're all adaptable. So I guess what sets me apart is because I can see people, and that's something that I guess came from my life experience, and constantly watching, and I think that people feel valued about that. I think once you're straight with people, you're empathetic, and you're able to actually show a genuine interest and are able to help those types of people. I think that it's more than any weight loss plan or any of that stuff. Like it's so much more deeper than that.
Interesting. I mean, do you think those almost those habits that you formed over those 18 years, through the foster care and through all your experiences, I mean, do you think those habits will ever leave you? As you say, you're almost always looking over your shoulder, you're always on hyper alert. Do you think that's something, I suppose, those traumas, do you ever get resolution for them? And then I suppose it's the same for your clients. Do they get resolution?
I guess I don't know if I'll get resolution, but I'll get acceptance. Which is good enough for me. The things that happened in my life shaped who I was up until a point. As I said, like it drove me. I didn't want to go back to where I was, and I always wanted to do better. Once you're able to flip that and you're able to see that you're doing things for yourself and not for a fear of something else, then that's when everything changes. Whenever you're operating from a place of prosperity, you see the potential in yourself, and that only comes through constant, in-depth, honest conversations with yourself. Once you're able to do that, then it's a good place to be. But I guess that those things that have happened, I'll never forget. And some of my members, they'll never forget what has happened to them either. But knowing what has happened for a reason. And also some things have happened for no reason. That's what's special. And understanding that there is people out there that are going through the same thing that want to help them. That's what we're all about, and those people change and operate from a place of acceptance rather than, a place of pain. And it's a nice feeling. It's nice to be able to see someone change their life and sometimes understand what has went on. Sometimes they will never understand what went on, and that's okay. But it's developing an awareness of, okay, that's happened. How does that impact my life now? Am I going to operate from a place of punishment or nourishment? Am I going to punish myself constantly for the things that have happened in my life? Or am I going to start nourishing myself, give myself some credit, understanding that there is a community out there that cares for me? There's a coach out there that'll go to the ends of the earth to make sure that I'm okay. Am I going to take advantage of that? Or am I going to keep, victimizing myself for what has happened? Which is what not all people, but many people, including myself, for a long time. It was like, why me? Like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Nobody cares for me. And that's a dark place to be, because you never really understand the situation fully. You're never really able to look at it from an outside of the box view, because you're always still so in it. So once you're able to kind of detach from it and look at it and write it down or whatever it may be, like, everything changes.
Are you clear on that transition and what either triggered that transition for you? That sort of pain, why me, all the rest, and then the transition to, well, why not me? And then responsibility for me. And then I get to do these things. I get to change. I get to live my life, as opposed to this has happened to me and this has happened to me, right? So are you clear what's caused that changeover?
Yeah, my daughter. That's it. She was a turning point for me. There was a first couple of years of her life that I was not the best dad, and I probably could have done more. So me and her mum, we broke up, and there was a period of my life where after that breakup, I was in a really dark place, and it was during those dark times that I just didn't know what to do, and I just started writing everything down. So I started writing down what had happened in my life, why I felt the way I did, why did no relationship ever work out for me, why me? And throughout that time of writing that down, I noticed that I was like, why me? Like, I, and it was like really, really in the past. I was writing in the past, and I was like, why am I writing and living in the past? So then I started to start on a new book. So I don't have it. It's not actually a book. I haven't written a book yet. But I started writing, I am going to, I am, not this happened, this happened. So I just changed my writing. And once I could visually see it, then that's whenever it flipped. I was like, I need to be the best father that I can, because mine, yes, he loves me. Yes, he had his flaws, but I never, ever, ever want Lexi to go through or feel the way I did when I was younger. And that's the turning point for me. So it's like, okay, what can I do today to improve my situation? So it could have been as small as, at that time, I was living in a flat in Newtonards, and I had a big bump in the floor because the water pipe had broke, and I couldn't get it fixed. The landlord didn't care. So literally, I was like, today, to improve my situation, I am going to put £5 in my gas meter. That is it. That's what I'm going to do. That's how low I was. Like, I had no food, but I was freezing. So I went, put gas in. That was like, okay, I feel better now. Tomorrow, I'm going to go for a walk. Tomorrow, the day after that, I'm going to do X. The day after that, and that slowly but surely, I built my resilience and I built my mindset to the point where I was, Scrabble Tower and Ards. Yeah, I was running up that like twice a day.
Wow.
And I was like, because that made me feel good. I felt empowered because I was like, I know nobody else is doing this right now. So I did crazy stuff. And I changed that thinking, and I was like, wow, if Lexi could see me now, if Lexi, I would love Lexi to be here. And ever since then, everything has been about her. Everything that I do, and helping people and having that impact on the world has, so she can look up to me and go, do you know what, Dad, I'm proud of you. One day, whenever she's old enough and she understands what's going on, she'll see that I never give up. I wanted to help people, and that's where everything changed. It took me a while to figure it out, but she's my driving force.
Who is your inspiration? Because I mean, that change, right? Because we don't always know how to get change, and this is what mentors are for. This is what people who are around us, either locally or globally or whatever, that inspire us. I mean, was there anyone that stood out for you at that time that really should have saying, well, this is what this is how we start to change. This is the things we do. Exceptional change. Was there anyone in your life that did that?
Yeah. So it was a couple of years before that. I lived in it was called supported living, and there was this guy that moved in next door, and he was from Canada, and I was asking him about Canada, what was it like and stuff like that, and he was doing like home improvements to that house, and we got talking, and he just became kind of like a friend. And then he started like giving me some tips on things to do to see things from a different perspective. And his name is Brian Muldoon. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
Honestly, that man is an absolute wizard at what he does. And again, coming back to that void pick, it was a person there that didn't have to be there. It's a person that let me into their home to help with the work. It's a person that gave me time, sat out the back, and just chatted about life. And we're still friends today. And I guess seeing where he had came from in his life, he was very similar to me in terms of things that had happened in his childhood, which I won't go into. But I had seen that he was now renovating properties, doing really well, doing this kind of stuff, and he sparked something in me to understand that I could probably do that, and he showed an interest in me, and I guess that's who sticks out in my mind. Obviously, you've got the likes of like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Jay Algerton, all those kind of people that everybody knows of. But having that person there who understood me and where I was, that's what I connected with. Other than that, it was just believing in myself. I started to develop that belief that then it started off with like, I don't want to be in the position I'm in, so I need to do X, Y, and Z. And then it's obviously turned on its head now, being like, I'm operating from a place now because I believe in my capabilities. I believe in the impact that I can have on people. And that's where I am at the minute. Like, I just love to help people. Like, I would do this for free. You know, it's once you know why you're on this planet, that's it. And I don't care what anybody says. You know, I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I know, you know, I know the path that I'm on, and I wouldn't do anything else. And whenever I get too old to be in the gym coaching people, then I'll still be coaching people in some aspect. You know, this is going to be me until the end, I think.
Do you think in hindsight that you had to go through that, what you went through?
Yeah, 100%. If I lived in like a nuclear family, everything was fine, you know, I'm thankful for what happened. I'm thankful for all the shit, because it has helped me develop an understanding of not only myself but other people. And yeah, it's been shit. It's, you know, you get some funny looks, you know, but I'm thankful for it, because I feel that I matured at a very young age and I understood life a lot better than other people. And because of that, I am a step ahead of most people at the minute, and I'm able to help the people who I feel really need it. Yeah, and that's what's special to me. So yes, I'm thankful for everything that has happened.
Isn't that amazing, the fact and to own your past, to accept your past, and because it is just that, it's past tense, you know. It's, but not only that, is, and to use that as a fuel to go forward, because so many people don't. So many people drown in their past and their story, and drown in what happened to them and all the rest, right? You know, that's a game changer, isn't it?
Crazy. I mean, yes, you're right. Some people dwell on the past, and by dwelling on it, I mean, like, that's all that they think about. And I understand 100% what they're going through, because I was the exact same. Like, I saw no way out. I was just waiting for the next bad thing to happen. I could not see any positives in my life for a period of time. And yeah, it is the people around me that got me through it. And it all comes back to those simple things of trusting in yourself, believing in other people, that they can help and they want to be in your life because they want to be. I mean, that's if I could give anybody any advice to get out of that rut, it is just literally reach out to somebody and just have that vent, like, or even write it down. What I used to do was write it down. I hated what was on the paper. I hated what it was looking at, so I burnt it. But it was out of my head and it was onto paper. So it's kind of like that. I don't know. It's venting in a way that you just, so many people, they live in this chaos. They have constantly this drum kit playing in their head, where it might be like previous trauma or stress or like anything. And that's just what we've been conditioned to think that we need to live like. And we don't, and people don't have that perspective. So they think that that's just the way their life is, when it 100% does not need to be that way. And that's what I'm trying to coach. And that's why I'm trying to change the fitness industry.
Do you think, I mean, you know, you were saying for yourself, I mean, going to the absolute extremes, I mean, you mentioned there sort of 4 times really sort of saying, tapping out and saying, listen, enough's enough. And as humans, do we almost need to go to that extreme to get that contrast that says, listen, here's the worst, all bets are off, clears the decks and says, right, that's it. And then you can just hope, or is there another way, do you think?
I don't think people need to go to that extreme. I think that the reason I got there was because it was such a prolonged period of time, and there were such heavy things that were happening. But I think that you 100% don't need to go there. I think that if you put the plan in place early and you just start taking those little steps to move yourself forward, you know, those small steps get you up a big mountain. And what most people don't do, what they do is they focus a lot externally. So it's like, I'll hide what I'm feeling, but I'll go and on social media. I'll distract myself with going out and drinking. I'll go and take some drugs. I'll do this, I'll do that. And oftentimes that is just a distraction. That is just someone escaping from the reality of what is going on. But if you actually sit down and write down what you're feeling every single day. Like I have a journal. It's called Mind Journal. So it's meant to be like a journal for men. I don't know what is the difference between men and women, but it's a very, very good journal. And literally every day in the morning time, I'm like, how do I want to feel today? What do I need to do? Same questions as I used like years and years ago. What do I need to do today to move myself forward? Then at the end of the day, I check in with myself. Emotionally, I take 2 or 3 minutes just to go, okay, how did I feel today? Was I in line today? Those kind of things. And by doing that, I'm constantly understanding that I have my values. And then I have also these shadow values as well. So I can be confident, but I can also be anxious. I can be driven, but I can also be lazy. And it's like checking in constantly. And what most people that I've came in contact with is they don't check in with themselves, and they're so busy living that life of their work, whatever it may be that is going on, that all of a sudden it comes to head, they hit burnout, they don't feel that their life's worth living, and that things start to kind of go down that slippery path because they don't know then what the root cause is. They're like, oh, I've just been this way for years. I'm like, I get it. So I don't think you need to go to that extremes, but if you do go to that, if you do feel like you're going to that extreme, then it is 100% avoidable.
That's such a massive lesson, isn't it? Because I think even when people go through this, it's never a one and done. It's like, okay, I've been through that experience, learned it, tick, done. That's me. I took the red pill and away we go, right? Because it's always going to be a game of, some days you're going to wake up and you're going to feel anxious. Some days you're going to wake up and you're not going to feel motivated, right? So it's understanding that you need to have a script, or you need to have a pattern or a habit or behavior that says, in the days that I'm not feeling it, we lean on that, and there's the days that I am feeling it, then I can be grateful. I can journal it. I can, really step forward, right?
Yes and no. So the days that you're feeling unmotivated, the days that you're feeling shit, the days that you don't want to get out of bed, the days that you feel that stress and that pressure, we think that we have to do something. We think that we have to fix the problem, when sometimes we just don't. Sometimes we just be. Sometimes we just let ourselves be in a bad mood. Sometimes we just let ourselves be angry and accept that emotion. Sometimes there's no reason behind it, but if there is a reason behind it, obviously we need to be in the best possible position to be able to deal with it. So lots of people think that negative and positive emotions. So if I'm happy, I'm positive. I'm angry, I'm negative. And we attach this stigma. It is literally, a feeling is just a feeling, and a feeling only has control over you if you put action to it, right? So I feel shit today, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm not doing anything. I feel like I've missed out. I feel like I haven't ticked the box. I feel like I've had a really bad day, and then that turns into a really bad week. So it starts to spiral, right? So it all starts with our thoughts. Most of the time. Sometimes we just wake up in a shit mood. I do it all the time. But having that thing that you do every day, or like 3-4 times a week, whatever it may be. Like for me, it's sea swimming. For me, like my job can be quite busy. It can be quite emotionally draining sometimes. So for me, I need to have those little circuit breakers. I started calling them circuit breakers after COVID. I need to have those things in my life to reinvigorate me and to do things for me. And that self-care is not selfish. And that's what most people think. Oh, I can't go to the gym at that time because I have to look after the kids. I'm like, well, what's your husband doing? Oh, he's sitting watching TV. I'm like, well, let's go. Come on. You need to put yourself first sometimes, so you can re-emerge yourself in that situation and be the best possible version of yourself for everybody around you.
What is that, as you say, it's that decision to, the old adage of, put on your own life jacket first, right? It's to believe in yourself, motivate yourself, do it for you. And then you can then inspire others, as opposed to filling up other people from a half empty cup yourself.
Exactly. I mean, I have a diagram on the Bando break program where it's like a cup, and we have the water going in the cup, and we got lots of little holes coming out of the cup. So those little holes at the bottom is like work, family, all the things that are stressing you out. And once that kind of runs out, and you're not constantly topping it up with, improving your body, improving your mindset, taking time for you, like getting your sleep, hydrating, whatever it may be, you have nothing to give. And that's where you hit rock bottom. When your loved ones are sitting looking at you being like, can we go do this? And you're like, can't. That's whenever you know that you need to do something, So we need those things. We need to take that time to ourselves. Like, there was a point where I was working 7 days a week in the gym from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and I got a lunch when I could, because I wanted to help as many people as I could. And there came a point where I burnt out. I just had a breakdown in the car park. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So it was at that time where I put in systems where I have some days I don't start until later. Some days I have a break time, I have a lunch, I have a dinner, and I take the weekends off for my daughter, because that was the turning point where she was like, Daddy, why are you in work all the time? And I was like, boom, you have to put yourself first, or else you're not worth anything to anyone. And I don't mean that in a, you don't have any energy to give to anybody, and then that makes you feel shit. So
how do you think we've come about to that people are not, that there was some, and I don't know how true it is, but people would sort of saying, in terms of a dose of medication, if you've got to take a tablet for 14 days, there's a higher chance that you will make sure that your cat gets the medication than you will do it for yourself, right? And that's the thing, people are so busy kind of serving other people, but then yet they just dismiss themselves. How did that come about, do you think?
From my point of view, I think it's just some people are just genuinely caring, and they just want to help other people. In the busyness and the thing of helping other people, then they forget to help themselves, especially like people who are really maternal, they'll run the kids to schools, they'll do whatever, and they have a mad schedule. I don't really know the exact point of like when the turning point was, but it needs to change. 100%. Like, for me, it took a long time for me to figure it out. So I was like, if I'm not in the gym 24/7 helping that person, if that person can't get booked in, they're going to leave. If that person doesn't feel that they're getting the service that they need, then they're not going to feel valued. And I guess that's just me trying to help people. And I needed to go, okay, I needed to really take a step back and go, I need to do something for me. And I don't know. Some people just don't get it until it's pointed out to them, I think. It's a done thing. And it might be generational. You might see people, their mom always cooking the dinner, bathing the kids, whatever it may be. And I think it just might come down from generation to generation to the point where that's what we think we need to do. We need to look after people before ourselves. And it's quite the opposite.
Do you like yourself? Do you love yourself?
I love myself. I do. And that's something that I'm proud to say. There's aspects of me that I don't like, but they're the things I work on every day, as well as the strong points of myself. If you don't, you're not true to yourself. Once you can accept yourself and love yourself, then you can accept and love other people.
That's massive, isn't it? So many people don't get that. They just don't get it.
Yeah, and it's everything that I every member that I come in contact with, I always say it starts with you. Everything starts with you. Once you see your capabilities, once you see your true self and not that mask that so many of us hide behind, that's whenever real change starts, because you change the narrative, you change how you see yourself and how you see the world. So it all starts with you, and you have to do that work. You have to have those honest conversations, and that's the hardest bit of self-development, is developing yourself. That's the hardest bit of it, because for so many years you will tell yourself stories about who you are, who you think you are. You tell other people, you know, what your interests are and what, you know, sometimes they're not true, you know. So like that's one of the most important bits of self-development that I do all the time. I try to stay true to myself. I don't try to be anybody that I'm not. I'm 100% authentic with both the people around me and myself.
And that is, it's unbelievably true, isn't it? Because everyone is searching out the next course, the next book, the next mentor, the next whatever, right? And they're sort of going, yeah, I'm going to all these things and just nothing's quite worked yet. And you're like going, what's the common denominator here? It's you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it comes down to that analogy. You can buy that book that one person will read it and make £1 or make nothing off, and another person will read it and make £1 million off. You know, you have to implement what is true to you and figure out what your values are. We actually did a training on that a few weeks ago, like what are your core values? And that was monumental for people to actually figure out not their true identity, but what they're truly capable of. You know, people, well, yes, I think that people don't understand their identity because we're not taught this in school. We're not taught about, I think that, I may get this wrong, the LGBTQ plus community, I think they're doing the best job of it at the minute. You know, figuring out who they are, why they are the way they are, you know, not why they are the way they are, but, you know, who they truly are as a person. You know, we have a member who just did a massive thing for an awareness week, and those kids are owning who they are. You know, whenever like 10, 20, 30 years ago, it would have been like, oh, hide it. And they're embracing it. They're embracing who they are. And I think that everybody needs to do it. Everybody needs to figure out exactly who they are so that they know exactly what the hell they're doing in life. Otherwise, they're just doing the what's needed to be done. And that's it's no way of living, in my opinion.
it's true, isn't it? You know, it's just, I don't know, we're so busy playing roles. And interestingly, you talked about that, you know, through your own experience, the role of how do I get through this situation? What do I need to be at this situation? And, you know, so the obvious one is, well, how about just being you? And it's like, but yeah, but that's not going to allow me to survive. I need to be something else. And I get it, especially in traumatic situations, and it happens so often. People need to be a different version of themselves, and there's part of them locked away. But then there is also a time when, listen, you know, that's a lot of baggage to carry around 2, 3, 4, 20 versions of you. You know, who you are with your friends, who you are at work, who you are at home when nobody else is there. You know, they're all different versions of you, right? It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah. It's almost like, well, yeah, it's almost like lying. You know, you tell a lie and then you have to lie to cover up the lie, and then, you know, so it's a lot. It's very, very draining. But I also think that people are very afraid of showing who they truly are, or, you know, scared of even going down that road because they're scared of what they might find or something. I'm not sure. I know whenever I did it, I was freaking out. I was like, oh God, like, what am I going to find? And when I did that hard work, the peace that it's given me, because I know that I put myself in situations now that I want to be in. I know that if I'm in negative situations, I know that being myself will get me out of them, and I have a clear conscience. I don't need to think too much. I just kind of speak. And it's just very liberating to know who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, and you know, the life that you want to live.
I mean, the people around you, you know, do they get this as well? Do people get you? Do you think?
Oh God, I don't know. People think I'm a bit crazy, but yeah, I think a lot of people around me take inspiration. You know, they see this big, traumatic, emotional roller coaster of a life, and they're, you know, they always say that I'm a success and things like that. I don't really see it like that, but that's what the people around me see. And if that's what they need to be inspired, and I'm fine with that. But most people, like, I have no problems talking to a stranger in the street. I have no problems going into talking at an event. I have no problems, you know, just being me in any situation. And yeah, people say that whenever I walk into a room, the lights turn on because I've got that confidence, I've got that aura, and I've got that willing and that want to just connect with people.
And you mentioned earlier, I mean, what are you clear? You said, you know, it's all down to your potential. What is your potential? Do you know?
Who knows? Who knows until you ask yourself that question? You know, it differs with everybody, and your potential and your version of success and et cetera, it could be totally different to mine, and that's okay. But if you give yourself the chance to improve your life in the way that you want to, that's you living to your potential. That's you improving your life. That's you leveling up.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, what is it there? Is it down to making a decision? Is it down to deciding to change? What is, you know, what's the fundamental question to ask yourself?
I think it's down to perspective, you know, and not being blinded by this 9-to-5 way of going about life. It's, you know, I think COVID had a big impact on the world, especially in the fitness industry. I mean, lots of people before them were looking at the physique and stuff like that, whereas now it's more of a health focused approach. And with that health focused approach, people are starting to understand how they're feeling, and once they're understanding what they're feeling, they're able to understand their thoughts a lot more. So you'll see that, just to give you an example, a lot of people aren't going into the office now, or they are going into the office. You got like that polar kind of, some people love it, some people hate it. And that's the first step. People understand that their environment shapes the person that they are and the feelings that they feel. So if I'm stuck at home all day and I'm working, you know, and then I'm eating dinner at the same table, and I'm doing all that kind of stuff, then I can feel quite claustrophobic. So then I've developed the awareness that that situation and that environment isn't good for me. So I need to change it. So it's that little small step. So then that then has amplified to the people that come on to my program, that they've learned something about themselves over the coronavirus pandemic, you know. So yeah, it all comes down to changing your perspective. And I mean, as I said, my own personal experience is Lexi, and my child, she changed my perspective. I'm like, I'm a father. I have to do something for her to look up to me and go, do you know what? I'm proud of you. It was actually my ex-partner. She had said in the car one day, she was like, Scott, you know, you're like an entrepreneur, a father, you know, business owner, and X, Y, and Z. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just me. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm me, but I'm also, and it's that kind of switch, you know. And I was like, oh God, look how much I've done, look how much we've helped people. And that is like, I now see the potential in myself. So I guess it's different people giving you different perspectives, different experiences in life. And I think you will come to that point in your life. You will, if you surround yourself with that kind of way of thinking and that way of living, that's when you start asking yourself those types of questions.
For you, I mean, what's your non-negotiables in life? Do you have non-negotiables, or?
100%. So I journal every day.
Mm-hmm.
Non-negotiable. Don't care if I'm running late for work. Non-negotiable. And got to a point now where I'm like, sorry, I'm going to be late, and my members usually know that. I go for my sea swims. I exercise. I make sure and try my best to eat as well as I can. But I'm human as well. Some people think that coaches are these superheroes that only eat chicken and rice. No, I eat Dominoes. I give myself a break when I need it. I understand if I'm feeling rubbish, I need to dive deep into that. Sometimes I'll come to the conclusion that I'm just feeling the way I'm feeling because I am. But I know that if I let that spiral, and I know that I go to not a good place. My non-negotiables as well is just making sure that I give myself a break sometimes. I know that it said like I'm going to give myself those breaks, but to sit back, have quality time with my daughter, and I mean quality time in the fact of there's no phones, there is no anything. We will take the dog out for a walk, and we will just chat rubbish, and we'll get an ice cream, and it'll be great. For me, that's what fulfills me. And if I don't have those things in my life, if I miss a sea swim, if I, don't spend time with Lexi, or, I don't cover one of those bases, and it's like, I don't know, can you compare it to an addiction? Like you feel that you've missed something, or something's not right. So that's what I do. Like you have to do those things for yourself, and you have to set those boundaries, because if you don't set those boundaries for yourself, how are you going to set those boundaries in any other area of your life?
I think, and I was really struck there by the fact, it's when you feel that you're not quite right, when you feel that something's going on, it might just be just having a crappy day, or else actually having the strength or the experience or the reflection to sit and really sort of question yourself why, because it's counterintuitive, right? Normally it's going fear, I'll cover it up, I'll snap at somebody, I'll hide it with drugs, drink, alcohol, sex, whatever, as opposed to sort of going, no, let's dig into this. It's counterintuitive. Our body doesn't want to, our ego doesn't want to, right? Because it doesn't want to be found out, but yet it is the thing to do.
Well, our ego's there to protect us. It all comes up to that. If I went to speak at an event, am I nervous about the event, or am I nervous about standing up on stage and people looking at me while I'm talking, or am I going to trip over the lead, or am I going to, whatever it may be? Like, once your ego is a good thing because it keeps you in tune, but you have to be honest. And if you're honest, then you become unbreakable, because you're sticking true to yourself. You're doing what you do because you want to. And your loved ones, they pick up on it. People are constantly on their phones, on social media, scrolling, seeing these boats and cars and clothes and money and whatever, and they're constantly being consumed by this crap. So for me, I was stuck in that rut for a long time. I would have literally stood in the kitchen on my phone, scrolling social media. Nothing was going in. It was just like aimlessly scrolling. But once I then created that connection that I was aimlessly scrolling, I was able to stop it. So developing that awareness, being honest, and always staying true to yourself, that's what's going to keep you focused. It's what's going to keep you aligned to whatever you want to do.
I mean, if you were to summarize your core values or your soul values, what would they be?
I want to be a leader. So I want to lead people, and I mean, I don't mean that in an egotistical way. I want to show people that there is another way of life. There's another way of thinking. There is a higher possibility, and I want to be able to communicate with people and help people communicate with others in a way that actually not triggers the response, but gets your message across. Yeah. I want people to, talking about my own values, I value my health and fitness. I value my body. I value, what I put into my body, and I value my sleep. I love sleep. Yeah. And I think family is a big one for me. And yeah, my business is a massive value, because it's not a business isn't it's not a job. It's an extension of me. It's who I am. It's what I believe in. It's my mission, and helping change the way people think is amazing. So my values are very, very simple.
So powerful, and having simple values is key, right? It doesn't need to be overly complicated, like fitness regimes or anything else. It just needs to be genuine, needs to be correct for you, and that in itself is key.
Yeah.
What's a bit of a guilty pleasure for Scott?
Oh God. Cheesecake. I love cheesecake. If you rocked up with a mint arrow cheesecake, you would get a lifetime access to Bando break on all of our sessions. I'm telling you, it is my Achilles heel. I swear, I can eat one in one go.
Nice, like it. And for leisure and pleasure, what do we see Scott doing for that?
I mean, I go to the gym. I take the dog out for a walk. I take Laxi out. I go for my sea swims. Like the cold water is unbelievable. I would head up a mountain. That's my idea of fun. That's me time. I like me time.
But where do you sit them? For some people, pressures for diamonds, and other people, pressures just bad planning. Where would we find you?
I don't know. I could kind of thrive in both. I have every intention to plan my day and, make sure that everything's, but I kind of love it. I kind of love the craziness and busyness. And yeah, I think that Scott, 10 years ago, if you had applied all this stress and pressure on me, I would have crumbled. I would have been like, oh, I just got to throw the head up, bury my head in the sand. Whereas now I'm in the best possible position to be able to deal with that. And I think that I love it. I love being busy. Might be the undiagnosed ADHD coming back, but yeah, I love being busy. I love always doing something. Can't sit down for too long. Yeah, I love it.
So tell me, if you were then to try and summarize your fire in your belly in one or two words, Scott, what would they be?
Ambitious. I'm ambitious and determined.
Wow. Powerful. I love it. Tell us, where can people learn more about you? Where can they find you, track you down, hunt you down, stalk you, any of the above?
So Instagram, it is at Bando Break Coach. Facebook, it is Scott McGimpsey. LinkedIn, Scott McGimpsey. And that's all my socials. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll tell you, is there a final message you'd like to leave with our listeners today? Is there something you would encourage them to do?
Whatever you're going through right now, whatever you perceive to be the path going forward, and if you feel that there is no way out, there is always someone there who will listen. There's always someone there who wants to help you. And all you need to do is reach out, speak up, even if it's just an emoji on a story or whatever it may be, for you to generate a conversation with somebody, that person will be out there to help you. So please, please, please reach out.
Scott, it's wonderful. I appreciate you coming along today. I appreciate you sharing so much that you have. I know there's a lot more information on your website, and I suspect there's going to be more. There could be books and other things out there. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So well done, and thank you. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Until the next time. Thank you.
See you soon.